The greatest undoing for the narcissist has never been rage, revenge, or confrontation. It's the quiet, steady moment when the empath whispers to the soul, "I'm done." That moment doesn't roar, it breathes. It doesn't erupt in fireworks. It unfolds in silence, sacred, deliberate, unshakable. It's the kind of silence that doesn't come from defeat, but from awakening. And that awakening rattles the narcissist to the very core. There's a war that most never see, a spiritual dance between manipulation and mercy, between domination and depth. The narcissist doesn't fear resistance, the narcissist fears revelation. Because when an empath opens their eyes to truth, the illusion collapses. Power dissolves. Control vanishes. It's not the battle that breaks the narcissist. It's the realization that the game no longer works. The empath carries a strange kind of brilliance, an emotional intelligence that sees through shadows and feels what words refuse to confess. They love beyond logic, give beyond reason, believe beyond proof. But that sacred heart, that tender awareness, can make them prey to those who feed on control. The narcissist doesn't want connection. The narcissist wants supply. And empaths, God bless them, often give everything they have, believing that love can heal what only truth can expose. Every encounter between souls changes something. But not every transformation is holy. Sometimes, what we call chemistry is really consumption, one heart devouring another under the disguise of love. The narcissist doesn't connect, the narcissist performs. The mask isn't to hide weakness, it's to shape perception. They need you to see what keeps their illusion alive. Many empaths stay too long, not because they're blind, but because they believe. They believe in redemption, in the power of patience, in the miracle of love that can fix even the darkest soul. But the truth is brutal. What holds them captive isn't ignorance, it's hope. Hope is the sweetest chain, and it's the very thing the narcissist feeds on. But everything shifts when that hope transforms into knowing, when the empath stops trying to fix and starts choosing themselves. That is the moment the narcissist can't script, can't control, can't survive. Because once the empath says, "No more," the curtain falls. The illusion of power dissolves into dust. The most terrifying truth for the narcissist isn't rejection, it's irrelevance. It's when the mask, carefully crafted through charm and deceit, finally stops working. The narcissist's mask isn't a costume, it's their identity. And when the empath sees through it, the entire structure begins to collapse. It starts small, a lie that doesn't make sense, a missing empathy when it matters most. The cracks widen, and suddenly, the empath sees it all. What looked like love was control. What felt like safety was captivity. And that revelation doesn't just sting, it transforms. It shakes the soul awake. From that collapse rises something holy. Freedom unfolds in 3 sacred phases. Phase 1, emotional detachment. This isn't coldness, it's resurrection. The empath stops playing a part in the narcissist story. They stop fixing, soothing, apologizing for chaos they didn't create. This isn't the end of love, it's the end of illusion. It's the reclaiming of identity. For too long, the narcissist has rewritten reality, making the empath question worth, doubt sanity, and measure value through pain. But liberation begins when the empath asks, "Why am I always the one apologizing? Why do I feel guilty for wanting peace? Why do I fear choosing myself?" These aren't weak questions. They're spiritual rebellion. They're the sound of chains snapping. Because the narcissist doesn't fear anger, the narcissist fears silence. Not the silence of defeat, but the silence of awakening. Phase 2, the power of non-reaction. The narcissist feeds on reaction. Emotion is fuel, and drama is oxygen. But when the empath stops responding, not to punish, but because they've transcended the game, the narcissist crumbles. That silence becomes a fortress. It says, "You no longer have access to me." And no weapon of guilt, charm, or manipulation can penetrate that truth. When the empath pulls away, the narcissist panics. They scramble, first with guilt, then with charm, then with fear. But when the empath stands firm, a miracle happens. They stop seeking closure. Because closure was never something the narcissist could give. It was something the soul had to choose. True closure is peace without permission. Then comes phase 3, the voice of truth. The empath finds a voice that no longer pleads, explains, or defends. It doesn't rise from fear, it rises from knowing. And that voice names things for what they are. It calls manipulation by its name. It calls control by its name. And in that naming comes power. Because when you name what once namelessly ruled you, it loses its hold. The narcissist can no longer rewrite your story. You begin to write your own. And when that happens, the narcissist's worst nightmare comes alive. You're thriving. Thriving is proof that the light they tried to dim was never theirs to own. It shows that the narcissist was never the source, only the shadow. They wanted to be the center of your universe, the sun around which you revolved. But when you rise brighter, calmer, freer than before, their illusion shatters. This is the final transformation, not surviving, but thriving. Not healing despite the pain, but because of it, you become untouchable. Your boundaries stop being walls built from fear, they become gates of peace built from wisdom. They're not barriers to love, they're invitations to truth. And the most terrifying act to the narcissist isn't your anger or even your leaving, it's your self-acceptance. Because once you accept yourself, you no longer chase approval. You understand that your worth was never measured by sacrifice. You realize that no isn't rejection, it's redemption. That self-care isn't selfish, it's sacred. You see that you were never broken, only buried under someone else's illusion. And when you rise from that, when you rebuild from within, you become something eternal. Not reactive, not controlled, but alive. Truly alive. The real victory was never about defeating the narcissist. It was about remembering who you were before the manipulation. When you find that again, when your peace becomes your power, the game ends forever. So stand tall. Protect your boundaries. Let them be the architecture of your freedom. Let your life no longer be a battlefield, but a sanctuary. Because the greatest revenge isn't rage. It's peace. It's joy. It's you living in truth, shining in light the narcissist can never touch.